Since I've launched this channel, I've noticed a new trend. Beyond the usual retail buyers of properties, a new audience is emerging. Large-scale investors, particularly from Western countries, who are now looking at strategic projects in northern Cyprus with multi-million-dollar budgets. But why do they consider northern Cyprus? Let me break it down. Well, first of all, it's a low taxation. Income and rental taxes are minimal. There are no hidden charges like you see in European Union, and no financial background checks or audits. Secondly, there is a relocation magnet factor. Remote workers with zero taxation policy, crypto enthusiasts, families with children, and pensioners are choosing northern Cyprus because residency is easy, crime is almost non-existent, the cost of living is lower, and the lifestyle is simply better. Infrastructure growth would be another factor. Every year brings new schools, hospitals, and roads, and marinas. And yet, compared to other Mediterranean destinations, property remains undervalued. Limited land supply, the island is small. The availability of land, especially in Kyrenia and west side of Kyrenia, is shrinking. And as a result, property prices increase consistently year after year. But what about the unrecognized status of northern Cyprus, you might ask? Well, given the ongoing dispute between North and South, properties on different title deed categories come with varying degrees of legal security. For large investors, the safest option is Turkish title deed land. Why? Because this land cannot be claimed by anyone, regardless of political status or recognition. Whatever the future holds, Turkish title remains the most secure form of ownership in northern Cyprus. And that's exactly where the smartest developers are focusing today. Projects built on Turkish title deed land, particularly in the most in-demand areas of Kyrenia. Also, timing is everything. The best opportunities are the pre-construction stage, when the project is still on paper, permits are in process, and the ground hasn't yet been broken. But why? Because developers need that financial push to begin the construction, and they are prepared to reward serious investors who step in early. These investors are not looking for one holiday home. They want serious ROI, security, and clear exit strategies. So let me break it down what that looks like in today's northern Cyprus property market. One cultural note for you, my dear friends, is that local business leaders maintain a fairly conservative approach. Here, successful negotiations and favorable terms are rarely concluded at the distance. They are achieved through a direct personal engagement. Within the local business culture, remote bargaining is not regarded as credible. Face-to-face interaction remains essential to building trust and securing the best agreements. So if you are serious, be prepared to come in person because it makes all the difference. Now let's talk numbers. On average, pre-construction projects in Kyrenia and west side of Kyrenia offer anywhere from 7 to 9% annual returns in equivalent terms. The key considerations here are: the larger your investment, the higher your return. The more security you demand, the lower your return. And the more risk you are willing to take, the higher the potential upside. Big investors always ask the same question: what protects my money? Here are the common options developers provide. Title deeds for land or individual units assigned directly to the investor. Existing assets of the developer pledged as collateral, or it can be shares in the project company to secure your position. This way, even in a worst-case scenario, you don't walk away empty-handed. You hold property rights or ownership as your safety net. So how do you actually make money? There are several exit strategies. The first one would be full delegation to the developer. You provide the capital, they handle the construction, marketing, and sales, and you receive your agreed return, usually starting around 8% yearly on your total investment. Secondly, there is a hybrid model. You can actually retain a number of units for yourself, and with those units, you can either rent them out independently or under developer's management, generating about 8% annual passive income, while also benefiting from approximately 7 to 9% yearly capital appreciation for highly demanded areas. Or you can sell the units independently after delivery with much higher margin because you acquired them at a discounted pre-construction prices. Either way, the entry price is so low compared to the eventual market value that the upside on both rental and resale is significant. But what is the mechanism for investors' payout? Here how it is typically structured. A percentage share of gross revenue from each sale is paid directly into an agreed escrow account until the full investment capital has been repaid. Upon project completion and final accounting, the investor also receives an agreed percentage of the total net profit on the top of the full capital repayment. Most large-scale projects in West Kyrenia run on 2 to 3 year timeline. That means your capital is tied up for a relatively short, manageable period, and your ROI can be projected with confidence. Of course, higher returns usually come with higher risks. So some projects may promise anywhere from 10 to 15%, but those often involve political, legal, or logistical uncertainties. For most serious investors, the sweet spot lies in the stable Turkish title projects in Kyrenia and west side of Kyrenia, offering around 10% yearly return, plus the added upside if you retain some units. So, Northern Cyprus is no longer just a destination for holiday apartments. It's becoming a serious arena for multi-million-pound investments. The earlier you come in, the more leverage you have, the better the terms you secure, and the higher your returns are. So, would you consider Northern Cyprus for a large-scale investment? And if you had $5 million to deploy, would you go for safe, steady returns or higher risk, higher reward strategies? Let me know in the comment below. Thanks a lot for watching. See you in the next episode.